Today's lesson is Social Butterflies of the Animal Kingdom. Hello, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today, we're going to talk about social butterflies. And, you know, Mike, I'd like to ask you how you've been doing. Have you been going to a lot of parties and stuff recently?
Well, you know, with COVID-19 and everyone having to stay home, it's tough to be a social butterfly these days. Of course, when we think of social butterflies, we're thinking of, people who like to go to parties, who like to mix with other people. They definitely don't like to stay at home and just be on their own. They enjoy being out, meeting people, going to places, and going to a lot of events where there's lots of interesting people around. That's hard to do when you're locked down at home.
Yes, but I guess you could be a social butterfly online with some of those, meeting apps or something like that. But it's not really the same thing. And I don't think animals have any kinds of restrictions because of COVID-19. So you can see deer and antelope and bear out there getting together in the forest and having a great time chatting and drinking and eating together. So, yeah, that's why we're talking about social butterflies of the animal kingdom in today's lesson. Of course, they don't really do that, but most of us think of animals as being kind of solitary, right?
It's true. Well, they do that in Disney movies, right? A lot of the animals do get together and socialize. But you're right, in the animal kingdom, many animals do spend a lot of time on their own. But then there are the other animals like ants and bees, right? We often think of them as living in big colonies together and that sort of thing. But we're going to find out more about these social butterflies of the animal kingdom.
Let's do that. So let's jump right into our topic for today. We'll listen to the first part, and then we'll come back to discuss it.
Social butterflies of the animal kingdom. Human beings are naturally social creatures. By working together as a community, we increase our individual chances of survival. And for this reason, people are wired to desire connection with others. However, it turns out that humans aren't the only ones who socialize to improve their circumstances. Many animals have been observed displaying similar behavior, sometimes even with members of competing species.
大家好，第一部分我们看到单字 socialize， 这个字是动词，指进行社交活动或是与人交往，使社会化。例如Betty socialized with her classmates on the weekend. Betty 周末与同学社交。或是 Ken often socializes with his colleagues after work. Ken 下班後常與同事交際往來。另外，補充這個字的名詞 socialization. 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 意思是社會化。舉例來說 In kindergarten, children gain not only knowledge but also socialization skills.在幼儿园里，孩子们不只获得知識，也習得社交能力。
Okay, it's time for us to discuss the first part of our lesson for today. And we already talked about social butterflies. That usually refers to people who are very social. They have lots of friends and stuff like that. And here it says human beings are naturally social creatures. That's true. Human beings like to talk to each other. And even though we compete with each other for jobs and girls and things like that, we still cooperate a lot, which means we talk to each other, we exchange information. We are very social.
That's absolutely right. And it says by working together as a community, we, that is human beings, we increase our individual chances of survival. And for this reason, people are wired to desire connection with others. Definitely. The human animal is a social animal, a social ape, I guess you could say. Like many of the apes, chimpanzees, our closest animal relative, they also live together as a community, as a town, a village, a small tribal group, and even up into big cities. This increases our chances of survival. It's easier for apes, monkeys, humans to fight off dangerous animals by living and working together, for example. And for this reason, people are wired to desire connection with others. When we say something is wired to do something, that's basically what it was built to do. That's in its basic programming, its basic DNA. Of course, this term kind of comes to us from the world of technology. We talk about, machines being wired to do something, a robot that might be wired to work in a car factory and build cars. But when we talk about people being wired to do something, it's basically part of your basic instinct, the things that you're born with, not necessarily things you might learn, things that come to you just by being the type of person you are, or even being the species that you are. Humans are wired to desire connection. We like to reach out and make friends with others.
Yeah, because it benefits our survival to do so. So yes, we're wired to do this. Of course, as you said, we're not computers, but we do have this basic instinct. In the next sentence here it says, however, it turns out that humans aren't the only ones who socialize to improve their circumstances. So here we've got the phrase to turn out. That just means you have some kind of result that happened, and usually it's something that you did not expect, okay? So for example, I was really scared a couple of months ago because I thought I needed to have an operation, but later it turned out that I didn't need the operation. I just needed to take some special medication.
Well, that was kind of a surprise, something you didn't expect. In that case, a good surprise. And when we talk about socializing, as we've kind of mentioned, this is about being with other people, meeting with other people, having friends. The opposite might be to stay home and just be by yourself all the time and not even talk to other people. Of course, most of us do like to socialize, some more than others. For some people, they like to do it maybe once a month. They go to a party or an event. Other people like to do it almost every night. And even when they're at home, they're socializing on social media, of course, using those apps and programs to reach out and make connections with other people.
Not everybody likes to socialize. Some people are kind of shy, and that's okay. They, of course, play a role in society as well. Not everybody can be a social butterfly, but a lot of people do like to socialize, and the reason they do that is to improve their circumstances, which is the situation you are in your life in terms of education or work or where you live and stuff like that. So, yeah, if you want to figure out a good place to buy a house, for example, well, you need to socialize with other people to get some ideas. You are trying to improve your life or your circumstances.
Absolutely. So yes, people do like to socialize. We are social animals. Sometimes we do it just for fun, and sometimes we do it to improve our circumstances, to make our lives better. But humans, it seems, aren't the only animals that do this. As we get back to the article, it says many animals have been observed displaying similar behavior, sometimes even with members of competing species. Wow, that's actually really interesting. Not too surprising that many animals have been observed displaying similar behavior. Many other animals do like to socialize. Sure, I think we've seen that before, even as something as simple as dogs playing together in the park or something like that. But having animals socialize with members of competing species, that is kind of surprising. You don't often see dogs hanging around with cats or birds hanging around with fish or something like that, because that's what we would be talking about if we were talking about different species. A species is a specific type of animal. All right, species of animals are very unique. They look the same as each other, but quite different from other types of animals. We talk about tigers and lions. That's a species. Those are a species of animals. And then we can talk about dogs and cows and horses and monkeys and birds and all sorts of different types of animals. They're all quite unique. They all can make babies together, but if they try to crossbreed or make babies with other species, that of course won't work. Nature won't allow that to happen. So species do, in the animal world, I think, kind of stick together. That's what you see most of the time, at least.
Yep, birds of a feather flock together, but sometimes they help out other species as well, and that's what we're going to get into here in the next part. So let's move on, and we'll listen first.
Take coyotes and badgers, for example. Though they both hunt the same prey, and should therefore be rivals, they can increase their success and reserve energy when they join forces. The coyotes chase the target above ground, while the badgers take over if the prey retreats into its burrow. This arrangement takes advantage of each animal's abilities, the coyote's running speed and the badger's excellent digging skills, to the benefit of both parties.
第二部分我们看到名词 rival 指竞争者或是敌对者，例如 The two teams have always been rivals. 这两支队伍一直是竞争者。另外，除了上面的意思，这个字还有以下两种用法。第一，这个字当形容词时，指竞争的或是对手的。例如 The players shook hands with the rival team before the game. 选手们在比赛前与敌对握手。第二，这个字当动词时，指对抗或是匹敌。举例来说 This river gorge rivals the Grand Canyon in length. 这条河谷的长度可与大峡谷匹敌。再来我们看到单字 retreat. 这个字是动词，指躲避、撤退或是隐退。例如 Sometimes I have to retreat from the chaos of the city. 有时我得躲开城市的纷纷扰扰。或是 When the forest fire started getting bigger, the men fighting it were forced to retreat. 当森林大火恶化，救火的人被迫撤退。另外，这个字也可以当名词，有以下两种用法。第一，指后退或是撤退。例如 The general explained that a retreat was the best move for the army at the moment. 这个将军解释说，在当时对军队来说，撤退是最佳举动。第二，指度假所或是隐居所。举例来说 When life gets too busy for Hector, he goes to his mountain retreat for a few days. 当 Hector 生活变得太忙时，他就到他的山中隐居处住几天。接着我们看到名词 burrow 指洞穴或是地道，像是 We found a burrow on our way to the mountain. 我们在登山的途中发现一个洞穴。另外，这个字也可以当动词，指在点点点挖洞或是通道，或是使躲入洞穴。例如 A family of rabbits burrowed into the hillside. 有个兔子家族躲在山丘下的洞里。
Okay, in the second part of our lesson for today, we're going to give you an example of competing species who cooperate and who socialize. So take coyotes and badgers, for example. Okay, so if you're making a point about something and you want to give an example to prove your point, then you can use this pattern. Take something for example. Take coyotes and badgers, for example. So we'll talk about these different kinds of creatures. In case you don't know, a coyote is kind of like a cross between a dog and a wolf or something like that?
Yeah, it's like a dog or a smaller dog, maybe like a fox, a bigger fox or something. They often live out in the American West, the mid-states, the middle America there. And badgers are, well, they're actually quite a unique species. They're one of the older mammals. It's not quite a dog. It's not quite a cat. They're kind of like raccoons or something like that, if you've ever seen a raccoon. Very clever animals and very well known for being quite hungry. They'll eat almost anything. And you would think that these are competing species, as the sentence next explains. Though they both hunt the same prey and should therefore be rivals, they can increase their success and reserve energy when they join forces. So yeah, the first part of that sentence is what I would kind of expect. They both hunt the same prey and they should therefore be rivals. Well, sure, coyotes like to hunt animals, smaller animals than them, to catch and eat, like mice and birds and other small things like that. Badgers too, and this is what we would call their prey. When an animal hunts another animal, the animal that it is hunting, the food that the bigger, scary animal is trying to catch and eat, is that hunter's prey.
And a rival, of course, is somebody you are competing against for something. Like you might have a love rival, for example. If you, say me, Roger, and a friend of mine, Dick, liked the same girl whose name was Lisa, we would be rivals for her hand or for her affection. And yes, indeed, these animals actually will cooperate, even though they should be rivals. They can increase their success and they can save energy or reserve energy when they cooperate, when they join forces. Now, the coyotes chase the target above ground, while the badgers take over if the prey retreats into its burrow. So they're kind of working together here. The coyotes will chase the prey, the target, above the ground. And then if the prey, the animal being chased, goes underground into its burrow, then the badger will take over. If you take over, that means you start doing the job that somebody else wasn't doing or was doing before, but they can't anymore. Like, for example, one time I was selling popcorn at the basketball game, but I needed to go to the bathroom, so my friend Lisa took over. She was selling the popcorn while I went to the bathroom.
Interesting. And this way they chase the prey. It sort of reminds me of those exciting police chases you see on the news from America and places, right? If the criminal is racing down the highway, the police in the cars chase after them. And as soon as the criminal jumps out of the car and runs into a forest, the helicopters take over with their searchlights and stuff like that. So they're sort of, helping each other, working as a team. You would expect that from the police or something like that. But to see animals out in the wild of different species doing that, that's quite surprising. So when a prey retreats, that means it runs away from something. When you retreat, you pull back or run away or leave, often an area of danger. If you're in a fight and you're losing, or if an army is in a battle and it's losing, the general or you in the fight might say, okay, I'm not going to win this. Now I need to get away. So it's sort of like escaping, but it's a little bit more organized. There's a little bit more of a plan there. If you're just running away to save your life, you probably don't have much of a plan except to run really fast away from the danger. If you're retreating, like this animal might be thinking, oh, the coyote is chasing me on the ground. It's very fast. If I run into this hole, I will be safe. So this is its plan to retreat or to get away from some kind of danger. In this case, we're calling the hole in the ground its burrow.
Which, of course, is where an animal lives underground. And this arrangement takes advantage of each animal's abilities, the coyote's running speed and the badger's excellent digging skills, to the benefit of both parties. So we've got this phrase, to take advantage of something. That means you are presented with a situation that is beneficial to you, and you decide to use that particular situation for your benefit. You take advantage of that situation.
That's absolutely right. And that phrase, to take advantage of, often goes well with joining forces, that other phrase we saw earlier, right? When you work as a team, when you join forces, you're taking advantage of everyone's different skills. I wonder if they share the food after they catch the prey.
Good question. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's read the third part, and we'll be right back to discuss it.
Certain types of spiders also cooperate to increase their chances of catching a meal, doing so by building and maintaining huge webs together and then sharing whatever gets trapped. One impressive group web found in Texas measured a whopping 183 meters wide. Out of the more than 45,000 spider species on Earth, at least 25 have evolved to work together.
最后第三部分我们看到单字 whopping， 这个字是形容词，指非常大的或是巨大的。我们可以说 The company paid a whopping $10 million fine for polluting the river. 该公司因为污染河川付了惊人的$1000万罚金。或是 This luxury home in the hills comes with a whopping 50-meter indoor pool. 这座山间豪宅附有一个巨大的50公尺室内泳池。
Okay, it continues and says certain types of spiders also cooperate to increase their chances of catching a meal, doing so by building and maintaining huge webs together and then sharing whatever gets trapped. So if you cooperate, of course, you work together with somebody for your mutual benefit.
That's absolutely interesting. So this is spiders, but different species, different sizes and types of spiders, but still working together. And when they work together, they can really do a big job. It says one impressive group web found in Texas measured a whopping 183 meters wide.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's like 2 soccer fields wide or something like that. That is a whopping web for sure. When we say something is whopping, this adjective is just basically telling us it's really, really big, really, really heavy. It's really, really impressive. When you hear it, you will probably go, wow.
I would say wow. Indeed. And of course, you know for sure one spider did not make that web.
I hope not, unless it was a really big spider.
It would have been a big, scary spider. But yeah, probably hundreds of spiders worked together to make that web. They cooperated. And out of the more than 45,000 spider species on Earth, at least 25 have evolved to work together. So here we've got the verb to evolve. That just means usually of an animal species to change and adapt over long periods of time. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第2部分提到，当郊狼和獾这2种动物联合行动时，郊狼在地面上追捕目标物，而猎物躲进洞穴，就由獾来接手。这种安排充分利用了各自的能力，对双方都有利。文中它用到 take advantage of 来表达充分利用。那我们来学习这个片语的不同意思。好，名词 advantage 就是指优势、优点。那么片语Take advantage of 可以表达出正面跟负面的语义哦。我们用事物来当受词的时候 take advantage of something 就是表达利用什么什么，趁着什么样的机会。举例来说 We took advantage of the nice weather and went for a walk 我们充分利用这样的好天气，趁着好天气去散散步。接着如果是以人当受词的话 take advantage of somebody 则是表达故意利用某人的弱点，占某人便宜，那么这时候就会带有负面语义了。举例来说 The thief took advantage of the elderly couple and stole their money 那个小偷占老夫妇的便宜，偷走他们的钱真可恶。好，那么接着读到课文第3部分的最后一句，在地球上45000多种的蜘蛛当中，至少有25种已经演化到可以一起合作了。文中它用到单字 evolve 来表达演化。我们来学习它的字首字根。先来看到 evolve 它的字首 e 是来自 ex 表示向外。那么 volve 这个字根它有转动、改变的意思。我们可以用向外转动、慢慢扩展的那种意象去联想 evolve 它有逐步演变、演进发展的意思。那我们顺便补充几个有相同字根的单字。第一个是 involve， 好 in 就表示 into 有进入的意思，那么 volve 它表示 roll 转动、滚动。滚动进来应该很容易联想到 involve 它有卷入的意思，它就可以表达使卷入、牵连、包含的意思。第2个补充的单字 revolve， 这个字它的字首 re 有返回再度的意思，那么 volve 表示转动，合在一起 revolve 它就有旋转、绕着转的意思。那它的名词 revolution 可以指旋转，或是指革命、重大变革。也许我们就可以去用那种翻转政局去联想 revolution 它带有革命的意思咯。第3个补充的是 devolve， D-E-V-O-L-V-E， 那它的字首 D-E 表示 down 向下， volve 表示转动、滚动。而这个字呢是 evolve 的相反词，它就有退化的意思，也可以用来表达将什么什么来下放、转移、移交，像是我们把权力下放、职责下放这样子，也可以用这个字表达。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Circumstance. Wendy's circumstances changed dramatically when she moved to Europe. Species. You can see many species of animals at the city zoo. Prey. The tiger moved silently toward its prey, trying not to disturb it. Rival. The gang has been fighting with its rivals for control of the area. Retreat. The soldiers retreated into the forest where they planned their next move. Cooperate. If we all cooperate, we'll be finished with this project much sooner. Evolve. corn evolved from a wild grass that grew in what is now called Mexico.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.